Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Frenegades and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about video game characters that I love so much and exactly why do I love these characters. Now, video games are a great thing to have in life, and a video game with compelling characters that make me feel something about them are my favorite, whether it be love or hate. Now, I don't play a large variety of video games, but the games that I do play, I pay attention to the characters that I love. So, I am able to feel something about them. So let's go ahead and get started with this now. Starting off at number 1, we have is Jimmy Hopkins from the Bully games. Bully is a severely underrated game when it comes to Rockstar games, and Jimmy is the main reason why it's so good. Jimmy starts off as just a badass little white boy that gets expelled from like 7 different schools that nobody gave a damn about. Now, Jimmy's two friends are Pete, a kid who's too dorky to be friends with anybody else, and a kid who's too cool to be, friends with the dorks, and Gary, a sadistic sociopath that ends up turning on him and ends up trying to take over the school. Gary ends up telling Jimmy about this plan to take over the school, and Jimmy doesn't even want to do that, but he goes ahead and does it anyways by dealing with each clique leader, while dealing with each clique and beating the leaders to make them respect him. Jimmy is, I would say, pretty humble aside from when he beats the clique leaders, and even determined to make Bullworth better by not even giving up on the students when Gary takes over and a huge riot breaks out. Jimmy, I would say, has heart and motivations to make him a great character, along with the fact that he was able to overcome his obstacles of people constantly trying to beat him up and bully him. I'm gonna be honest though, while I was playing this game, I had Jimmy out there dealing with dudes like I was Batman. The way I was dealing with like niggas picking on little kids and hitting on girls and stuff like that, like that. Some of that shit wasn't even cool. Like I'm gonna just be honest. But speaking of dealing with people like I was Batman. At number 2, we have is Batman from the Arkham series. Now, I could probably go on a rant about Batman for hours, but I'm not. Arkham Batman is easily my favorite and my least favorite version of him. His character is fine, the typical Batman stuff, I am vengeance, I am the night kind of stuff. But what I love about him so much is that he's able to deal with at least 5 villains in a single night, proven with each game. With Arkham Asylum, he had to deal with the Joker, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, Bane, and the Riddler. In Arkham City, he had to deal with Joker, Hugo Strange, Ra's al Ghul. He also had to deal with people like Deadshot and Two-Face. In Arkham Origins, he had the 7 assassins that was like, if I remember correctly, they were Killer Croc, Bane. You have Killer Croc, Bane, Copperhead, Deadshot, Deathstroke. Who were the last two? Because I gotta really remember this. Well, I did name 5 villains, so I guess that goes ahead, including the Joker again. And in Arkham Knight, where he has to deal with Scarecrow, the Arkham Knight, Harley Quinn. He also deals with people like Penguin and Two-Face, typical suspects, like even more obscure villains like Professor Pig. But anyways, playing the games in chronological order, you also started to notice a change in Batman. In Origins, he's way more aggressive and brutal while being more amateurish. In Asylum, you see him still pretty brutal and easy to manipulate by Scarecrow, but still strong-willed enough to resist changing into a Titan and fighting Joker while he was a Titan. In City, Batman is less fearful, even with Hugo Strange knowing his identity, and he also proves that he doesn't care if he dies as long as Gotham is safe, and while dying from the Joker disease. He is resisting and resorts to the only solution, which is going to Ra's al Ghul. In Arkham Knight, Batman perfected his crime fighting and knows what to do and how to do it. Scarecrow's gas is effective throughout the game, but at the end, Batman conquers his fear of losing himself and becoming the Joker. Dealing with villains like Penguin, Two-Face, and the Riddler, and many more in one night isn't even close to being easy. And Batman proves it with determination and power. You can do anything you need, including resisting Catwoman's seduction. And speaking of Catwoman, I know y'all see Catwoman's sexy, skin-tight leather suit wearing ass. Look at her! Shit, I'll let her steal every dollar in my bank account just to get a sniff of her ass. Oh yeah, to keep this short and sweet, Catwoman, it shows that she's loyal by having Batman's back in Arkham City and through Arkham Knight. Even like when Batman saves her, she still comes back and saves him. She shows that she has heart, especially with the Riddler missions. Like seriously, after Batman saves her, she comes back to help Batman take down the Riddler after this nigga starts cheating by giving him robots that he can't fight, that only Catwoman can fight. Like she's one of the realest in the game, and she proves that she is a very likable character. Now, in the Telltale series, I don't know about that, but speaking of the Telltale series, at number 4, we have is John Doe from Batman, the Telltale series in Batman, The Enemy Within. Now, John is the strangest character in Telltale Batman because he is a complete enigma, which is a mystery. His childlike nature helps mold him into which Joker he becomes in the 5th episode of Season 2. John does take a lot after Batman, and depending on how you treat him, he'll either use it with you or everything he knows about you against you. Now, I also love how whichever Joker he becomes, it determines which version of the same Stitch you get. Like, if you get Vigilante Joker, you're fighting against the agency where Amanda Waller ends up having her own Suicide Squad, and Joker becoming his own kind of Batman. While when it comes to him becoming a villain, this nigga becomes a fucking terrorist. Now, Vigilante Joker is like a child who finally meets his hero while applying everything he knows about Batman into his work, even if it's in brutal ways, like extremely brutal ways, despite how brutal I was as Batman. As a villain, Joker acts out his twisted fantasies and plays a personal game with Bruce to enact his revenge on him. I love John because being nice to him makes me feel happy, and being a dick to him makes me feel kind of bad for him. Telltale makes quality games with quality characters, and The Walking Dead is a great reason why I love their games. And at number 6 we have is Lee Everett from The Walking Dead. To describe Lee with just simply 2 words, Lee is a real okay? Now, I was playing season 1 of The Walking Dead, and Lee had me so damn immersed that I felt like I was Lee, for real. Now, I'm going to speak from the experience that I had when I say this stuff. So, Lee managed to keep a good relationship with Kenny and Lily, even if my biggest L just happened to be taking Lily with us in the RV instead of leaving her Carly murdering ass behind. And speaking of Carly, I know y'all see Carly's sexy brunette ass. Oh wait, I already did this. Anyways, Lee's family died and managed to stay alive, and he managed to stay alive to protect Clementine as much as he possibly could. He started off as just a nigga being taken to prison, to dying as the man who saved Clementine from a weird ass, possibly ass stranger who talks to his zombie wife's decapitated head in a bag. This man is a fucking sicko. Anyways, Lee slices and dices on some Michonne through a parade of walkers with one arm. Bro was willing to chop off his own arm to prevent his bite from spreading. Even if it didn't work, it still shows that he was willing to do anything to protect Clementine, and this proved it. Bro was really going God mode, no Roman Reigns. Clementine smacked the stranger in the head with a bottle, and Lee beat his ass and strangled him to death with just one arm. And he shot his in the head. Lee was nothing less than a real ass. That's what I'm saying. Lee is the fucking GOAT. But I'm going to also speak about his other half from season 1. Clementine from The Walking Dead. Now, to give just a bit of a disclaimer, I've only played up to season 2, and I did just start a new frontier. I think it was Wednesday, so I'll probably finish talking about the latter seasons of Clementine another day. So anyways, Clementine is pretty much a mini version of Lee, with how she was able to stand her ground on her opinions and able to keep everyone somewhat happy by not taking sides. But to prevent her from being too similar to Lee, I made some morally questionable decisions, like indirectly causing Nick's death by telling Walter the full truth about how his boyfriend Matthew died. I ended up saving Sarah from the mobile home when I did let go of Ben in the first season. I also chose to cover Luke, and Bonnie's annoying ass kept guilt tripping me about not saving him. Like seriously, bro said the ice was going to break if anybody sat over there. So I don't know why she keeps talking about, you could have saved him. You could have saved him. You could have saved him, and he died. This nigga would have drowned anyways. And I probably would have been down with him if his Okay, let me just stop. Anyways, I also indirectly caused Alvin and Walter's deaths by sneaking over to Kenny when Carver came to the lodge instead of just surrendering myself like Alvin wanted to. Honestly, had I surrendered myself, I feel like Alvin probably would have lived a little longer, probably long enough to see AJ's birth, but nah, nah. I wanted Clementine to be her own person while applying the things that Lee taught her in survival. And Clementine did start off as a naive little girl that needed Lee to protect her, but also she ends up pulling her own weight by fitting into small spaces when she needs to and giving her opinion on certain people that I might not be so sure about. It's not like I'm basing my entire opinion as Lee on Clementine, but more so she gives me more leverage as to how I should feel about somebody. It's like an adult and I'm not sure about how to feel this person. Like, there's good and bad, but Clementine as a child is like, okay, a child's judgment also kind of helps sometimes. You know what I mean? Anyways, without Lee, Clementine would have died, and without Clementine, Lee would have had nothing to live for because his whole family's dead. Clementine the same way. I mean, seriously, I like how Clementine ends up changing. She starts changing as a character after seeing her parents as Walker and ended up, having to kill Lee. In season 2, her character change is much more drastic, as I said, after Krista and Omid's deaths with those, morally questionable choices. And I still helped her become a, helpful force within the groups that she joins. As I said, like protecting Sarah from Carver when he first arrives to the cabin. When Carver comes in on some, really creepy shit, I have Sarah hide. Had I not been there, Sarah probably would have been a dead girl. I'm gonna just be honest. Now, I also did help find a place for Rebecca to give birth at I think it was that gift shop. And I stopped Carver. I was able to stop Carver, with his, little parade. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I will just censor it out, I guess. And, oh, right. So she ends up helping to stop Carver by shooting this nigga in the ear, jumping on him, and allowing Luke to grab his gun and Kenny to, Jason Todd him. If you get it, you get it. Anyways, after playing the first season of episode 3, she's even more of a savage for walking with Javier with a shotgun pointed at his back after saving his life. So, and also she was getting really pissed at that one dude that gave her those gave her that ammo, and she was like real pissed about like how the ammo wasn't working, and she was like, I need working bullets. You sold me working bullets. Like, I'm pointing at this man, pulling the trigger at him, and he's not flinching because he knows his doesn't work. And he ends up flinching after he hears that, and then she accidentally shoots him because, the ammo did work. I don't know what it was with that, but anyways, after that, long story short, she has more balls than most of the characters that she encounters and pretty much raised AJ from birth. I'm aware of that stuff. And it's actually insane that she did all of this before she was even 15. Definitely in video game GOAT. Anyways, that's just a few of my personal favorite video game characters, and I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I will see you next time. I'm logging out.